All right. Hey, everybody. It's Jules, and welcome to our first webinar, or I guess we could call it a gathering. There's so many people here for the year of 2017, and we are so excited that you are all taking the time out of your day to come and join us, and we are going to share a lot of really cool stuff. One of our major brand new things that we're going to be sharing with you is all about our new pH 360 Detox, and that is totally set up specific for you, specific for your biotype. And everybody's been hearing a lot about detoxing, and it's time for you to know the exact way that your body would like to be interacting with detoxing. So who's excited to hear about that? You guys can write that in the chat bar. And there is still someone who is not on mute. If you could check and see if you can be on mute, and let me see one more thing. And I will mute all. Yes. Okay, now I'm unmuted. Right? You guys can hear me now, yes? Shake heads. Awesome. Okay. So, first of all, what we're going to do today, this is going to be a little bit longer than our normal webinars. And what we're going to start out with today is we are going to start out with Diana Anderson, who is our VP of Coaching, and she is going to be sharing with you all about the bio trends and how biotypes work and some of the details about biotypes, so that for some of you who haven't heard about this before, this will give you an opportunity to see just one of the layers of pH 360 and Shea. And then once we've completed that, there'll be a Q&A. You'll have time to ask questions if you'd like, and get to learn a little bit more about how you could learn more about that if you're interested. And then we are going to have Rebekah Morrison, who is one of the co-founders of pH 360 and Shea. She's a co-founder with Matt, and this year we're going to be out a lot more. Rebekah is going to be sharing and being out in the communities and traveling around the world, and everybody's going to get a chance to get to know her a lot better. And so it's going to be really fun. And she's been instrumental. I just want to say a note about Rebekah is she's been instrumental in everything that we do at pH 360. She creates everything that's design oriented and handles so many hats that it's incredible. And so it's really fun to get her out from behind her computer, and you guys are going to get a chance to really get to know her this year. And so she'll be speaking about the specific details for each biotrend and how they would best detox. And when we are listening with Diana, I want everybody to be thinking about, as she's speaking, if you don't know what your biotype is, and you may not know that yet, pretty soon we have a health test coming out, and you will be the first people who get to take your health test and will know your biotype and get to print out a report and the whole thing. But in the meantime, as we're speaking, you guys can go through and listen to each of the biotypes as Diana's speaking about them, and then see which one sounds the most like you. And you might even think that there's a couple that sound like you. But just listen for the details that you'll know. All right. So, Diana, are you ready to share some information about biotypes with us?
I am ready.
Okay, awesome. Take it away, sister.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Diana Anderson, and feel free to say hi in the chat area, because there are so many people on this call today, and I don't know if you guys can see how many people are on this call, but there's a lot. Go ahead and say where you're from on the chat area if you'd like to, so we can see how many people are really here. So I'm going to share a little bit about the biotypes, and this is fun information, so I think you will enjoy it. First, I'm going to share my screen, and that'll take just a second. All right, and tell me if you can see my screen, Jules.
We got it.
All right. So we're going to talk about the 6 main biotypes for pH 360, but I want everyone to keep in mind that there's actually 360 degrees on the pH 360 wheel. So you are going to fall in an area. Today, we're going to talk about the areas, not you specifically. That's what your profile's for. Your profile will tell you everything that's very specific to you as a person. But what this will tell us is what area, the different areas, the 6 different biotypes, and what is common between you and other people in the same area. Now, you might not have everything in common with them, and you might even fall between 2 biotypes, like right in the middle of 2, and have common traits between 2 different biotypes. But what you'll get to learn today is what's common for a specific group. And we have divided up the PH360 wheel into 6 groups, and these are their names of the 6 different groups, and I'll go through these so you understand it pretty clearly. So just as a quick glance, if you look at this wheel, we're just going to go over this briefly because everything's going to be in much more detail. But if you look at the top, we have a connector, and their totem animal that we have chosen for the connector is the dog. And the dog has a few, oops, that was not supposed to happen. My screen is blocking what it says up here. Thoughtful, playful, likes to talk, energizing, charismatic, shorter, with a lot of muscle. Those are just a few tiny generalizations of the connector. And if we move over to the activator, we have the cat, agile, focused, competitive, loves change, shorter, we're talking about stature, height, with naturally defined muscles. And going around, we have the horse, the crusader. They are more determined, skeptical, logical, impersonal, and lean. And so just stop for a moment. I'm going to stop for a moment and think about this for a minute. Do you know people who are more charismatic and they're playful? They like to talk. Do you know people like that? Are you like that? Do you know people who are competitive? They love change. They're a little more muscular, or typically more muscular, have more muscle tendencies. Or people who are very determined and logical. Maybe they feel a little bit more impersonal and they might be lean. So think about if you know people like this. We'll review quickly the other 3 before we go into the great detail. So the sensor is the totem animal, is the bird, because they're light and they're also airy, up more in their brain. They can seem aloof because they are a little bit more introverted. They're less talkative. They're very productive, highly sensitive, and long and lean. They can be taller, but they're always going to be lean. The diplomat, represented as the buffalo, because they have a larger body structure and a slower body movement and slower digestion. They move at a more even pace. They're particular. They're friendly, easygoing. And then we have the last one, the guardian, which is a bear. The bear enjoys people, conserves energy. They might host dinners or love to be around their family for dinner. And they have a larger body mass and conserve energy well. So that's just a general. You can see we have 6 categories. We have 6 generalizations. And let's look at these all in more detail. Where this comes from is the most interesting part, is when you are forming in the womb, this is a way that the tissues of the body form. You have these different layers called the ectoderm layer, the mesoderm, and the endoderm layer. These layers all form different tissues in the body. And some people develop more of one than another. So if you develop more of the mesoderm layer, for example, that layer of tissue will develop the heart and the blood vessels and the connective tissues. Okay, if some people are more dominant in the mesoderm, that means they're going to have a strong heart, strong blood vessels, and strong connective tissues when they are healthy. Now, the ectoderm, if somebody develops more of the ectoderm layer of tissue, that develops the brain, the skin, the hair, and the nervous system. And if they're healthy, then they're going to have a strong brain, strong nervous system, good skin tone. But if they're unhealthy, those are also areas that will be weak for them. The endoderm tissues, they form the lungs, the pancreas, the digestive system, the stomach. And so if a person is healthy in their endoderm, then they're going to have strong digestion and good pancreas and big lungs and things like that. But if they're unhealthy, those are areas that will be vulnerable for them. So how we develop in the womb is what determines our biotype. And most of science looks at the biotypes as these three. We categorize them a little bit differently, but these are the three. The mesomorph, which is the ones that form the mesoderm, the endomorph, which is from the endoderm, derm meaning layer, and ectomorph from the ectoderm layer. So we have, of the 6 categories of pH 360, 2 are more mesomorph, 2 are more endomorph, and 2 are more ectomorph. So as you look at them, this chart kind of shows how their bodies look different. On the far left is the ectomorphs, and they are long and lean. They don't carry a lot of body mass, a lot of fat tissue, heavy muscles. They're very strong in the nervous system and in the brain. And the mesomorph, they're in the middle. They're shorter, they have a lot of muscle, they have strong hearts, and they are going to be strong in the athletic abilities due to their muscle structure. And then the endomorph, they're going to have a larger body mass, bigger shoulders, wider hips, they carry more weight, they have strong lungs and strong digestion. They're going to have a completely different look. As you can see, the endomorphs look very different from the ectomorphs. We can often tell a biotype just by looking at them. That isn't always the case. That's why the program measures your wrists and your neck and your head, and all of those measurements are to be sure we know which category you fall into. And a lot of people fall in between 2 categories. So that's why we have 6 main groups, because some people will be part ectomorph and part mesomorph, or part mesomorph and part endomorph. So let's look at each one individually. The activator is Jules, I have a question. Can you guys see this little part on my screen, or can you see my whole screen?
I can see the part on your screen, not the whole screen.
Okay, so you can't, okay, there, the Zoom was interrupting my screen and I couldn't see part of it. So
oh, yeah, it looks great.
Hopefully that's not happening to you guys.
No, it's not.
Talk about the activator first. They're the ones that developed from the mesoderm tissues. So they have strong hearts, lots of strong blood vessels, but if they have any health issues, those are things that can get weak. So they're sensitive to the hormone adrenaline, and which means that they need to keep their adrenaline in balance. They're very responsive and reactive people, but they can get overly sensitive to adrenaline and even have get addicted to adrenaline and get adrenal fatigue. Those are some of the common problems. Now, what I want to make sure you guys understand as I go over each one of these really quickly is that I am barely scratching the surface of what we know about each one of these biotypes. I'm just giving you a tiny peek view because it could overwhelm you and we can't really go over it all on a webinar. This is just a tiny bit so that you can see that they're different and how they're different, why they're different. So if the courses, of course, are going to go over a lot more detail, and we have other trainings. So I'm just giving you a very brief overview. Okay, so the activators, they have a good amount of serotonin, which makes them optimistic. They see the glass is half full. Reactive and responsive means that they're just, they're quick to react and respond to things. They think quickly and move quickly, and that's the opposite of other biotypes that need to ruminate on decisions and think about things. So that's not how the activator is. They often won't think things through and they'll make a quick decision, good or bad. They're agile. So of all the biotypes, they're going to be the ones that maybe have the best balance and are the most agile in general. They like to move often. They like change. They enjoy challenge. So if things aren't challenging, they get bored very easy. And they are the shortest in stature in general of all the biotypes. So they're going to be the women who are 5 foot tall to 5'4", and the men are going to be 5'4" to 5'9", You know, they're shorter in stature. So, do you have any questions or comments about the activator, Jules?
No, it looks great. And just so that you guys get a little perspective, Diana is an activator, and I am a connector, and Rebekah, who you'll see later, is a sensor. So it's going to give you a little detail there. But how many of you guys think you're activators? Now that you've seen the activator, just like enter it in the chat and just be writing down the things about each one of these that are similar to you.
Yes, and think about the people that you know who are activators. Okay, so here's one of the things I can do, because I've been doing P360 for a while and coaching all these people, is I can tell when somebody's talking a lot about their biotype. I don't have to see their face. Sometimes I can tell. Now, like a diplomat's really easy. They're the opposite to me, and they talk slower than I do, and they might enunciate things more and be more definitive and maybe think about what they're going to say. And as you can tell, I don't do that. I speak quickly, and hope that's okay for everybody. So we have a lot of differences, and that's the point of this webinar today, is how different we all are and that we need different things. Oops, let's see. We should have the connector next. Oh, there it is. It just skipped 2 slides. Okay, so next we have the connector. And like Jules says, she is a connector. And you can see they're mostly, they're mesomorph, body shape a lot, with some endomorph. So they're going to be similar to the activator. We'll go back for a second. Activator, you can see they're just a little bit smaller, and the connector is just a little bit larger. And actually that slide might be a little bit larger too, but you can see they have the broader shoulders. They're going to have a little bit bigger neck, a little bit, you know, more ability to thicken up if they want to. So they're sensitive to oxytocin. It's the hormone they're most sensitive to, which means they need to keep it in balance. And they do that by being around people. Okay, so connectors are extroverts, which means that they gain energy from being around people and from talking with people. That's how they actually get energized. Where other biotypes get energized by being alone and having quiet time. It's good for them to host dinners, to be around a lot of people. They're good with diverse activities. They enjoy talking. They enjoy lots of change and diversity throughout the day. And they're good with people. They connect people to other people. They connect them, you know, they connect with people themselves. And they also have a shorter stature. They also have a lot of serotonin. So they're optimistic generally. And, you know, one of the things so activators have more testosterone in general than most of the other biotypes, just in general, which makes them willing to take a risk. So imagine you've got serotonin, which tells you everything's going to be okay. The glass is half full, everything's going to work out. Then you add testosterone, and so you've got people who are more willing to take a risk and they feel like everything's going to work out. That's more the activator. The connector is optimistic with less testosterone. So they're going to be feeling like, hey, everything's going to work out. It's all good. We're going to be okay. And that's a hormone response. So it's the oxytocin. It gives them the hormones of wanting to be by people. The hormones have a big impact on how we behave. Okay, next we have, Jules, did you want to say anything about the connector, since you're a connector?
No, I just think most of that's all true. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the guardian. So the guardian, they're sensitive to the hormone prolactin. And prolactin, think about prolactin. It's the hormone that mothers get when they deliver a baby. They get lots of prolactin, and it makes them bond. So guardians are really into bonding or close relationships with people. They also enjoy plenty of oxytocin that makes them want to love and be around people and give love, just like the connectors. So the guardians in general are very stable people, a lot of times referred to as the salt of the earth. They're strong and they're sturdy. They're steady and they're dependable. So they're going to have a lot of times they might stay at a job for 20 years, which is less likely for an activator or a connector. A lot less likely. They love close connections. like deep, close connections and will be less likely to have a lot of acquaintances that they trust. They like to have people around them that they really trust. They're more family oriented, and they're shorter to medium in height. So they're going to be getting a little bit taller than the activators and then the connectors. They're a little bit taller, moving towards the diplomats, which are the tallest. And they're also the most able to carry weight because they have larger bones. They have more tissue in general. They have more fat cells, more bone, more blood vessels, more bigger lungs. They have more of everything. So they're going to have the largest body mass when we measure body mass. And some people are going to have very little body mass, like a sensor, and some people are going to have naturally more. So they're never going to be the same look as a sensor because it wouldn't be healthy for them. They would probably not even be able to survive. They have a larger mass, which is very healthy for the guardian. Any comments? Now, do you guys know some guardians? I can tell you what I love the most about guardians. Guardians give the best hugs ever. I mean, except for Jules. She could be a guardian hugger. And they hug you like they're just taking you into their whole body and just engulfing you and, you know, surrounding you with love. And that's one really, you know, a guardian if they're just like bring you into their bosom and just give you all this love. That's one sign of a guardian. And they also will have a much broader jaw. So they have, you know, more of a straight down, broader jaw and a rounder face. Kind of a, not rounder, but like a broader face. So think of the guardians you know, and they're very lovable if they feel connected to you and trusting. Okay, then we have the diplomats, real similar because they're both endomorphs. And the diplomat has the totem animal as the buffalo, right? So they're also going to have the larger mass. They're going to have larger bones. They're moving towards the ectomorph, which is smaller bones. So they're in the middle of the largest bones and the smallest bones. But they're going to have more mass for sure. Bigger legs, strong. They're sensitive to serotonin. Now, serotonin is the hormone that makes us feel like everything's okay. And it's a satisfying hormone. Like when we have one, we feel very satisfied. And that's one of the things that they need to do is feel satisfied throughout the day. And if they don't, then they'll get low. So they also have a lot of prolactin, which makes them very family oriented and liking to bond and be close around family. And they're very family oriented because of prolactin. They're easygoing, right? So these are the people who would like, what do you want to do? Oh, you know, whatever. They're more I mean, not adaptable, it's not the right word, but easygoing. Get along with everybody, go with the flow, lay back on the couch and just watch the football game, you know, take it easy. They like low stress because they don't have the adrenal response. Like activators are the opposite. Stress is okay. Short-term stress is like no problem. And getting a lot of pressure is not good for a diplomat. So they enjoy rhythm. Their day should be kind of like steady rhythm. Where an activator and a connector, you know, their day is like, oh, up and down, up and down, up and down. React, rest, react, rest. They don't want that. It's more like plug along and everything gets done on a very nice even keel. That's healthy for them. They're more patient than other biotypes, some other biotypes, and if they're closer to the sensitive, they might see patterns really easily, like human behavior patterns, health issue patterns, patterns in nature. And it might be so easy for them that they don't even realize, wow, you know, they don't know they're seeing patterns easier than other people because it's so easy for them. And that's only a part of the diplomats. Not all of them do that. The ones closer to the sensor see patterns. And they're the tallest of all the biotypes in general. Okay, think about the diplomats, you know. As they move closer to the sensor, they're going to be more pear-shaped. They're going to have smaller shoulders but bigger hips. if they're more close to the guardian, they'll have broad hips and broad shoulders, both. But they're going to have a little bit wider jaw again, but as they move to the sensor, closer to the sensor, it'll be more heart-shaped, you know, their chin will narrow. And so you can see that in their face, and they're going to be strong and have bigger bones, and they're easygoing. They're fun friends to have. Okay. Now the sensor's supposed to be next. Okay, we'll have to go backwards this slide. The sensor's next on the wheel, and so they're the true ectomorph. And they're going to be, as they get 0 is a true right in the middle of the sensor ectomorph, the number 0. And I have a friend who's almost a 0, a guy. He's 6'2" and weighs 140 pounds. And that's how he's been his whole life, you know, and he's 62 years old. So they're thin, especially as they're closer to the 0. So their range is, their numbers, there's a 60 degree range, 60 number range, and they might be closer diplomats and have a little bit bigger body mass, or be closer to 0 and have a very thin mass, like the guy you see on the left here. So they're going to be sensitive to the hormone vasopressin, and vasopressin has so many functions that will affect them. But all the things that become challenging for the sensor, like being cold, or getting, you know, moody, and things that happen to them have to do with the balance of vasopressin. That's really important. They'll also have a lot of dopamine, which means that it'll be easy for them to do a lot of work or stay focused and be motivated. So they have less strength in their spine because they don't have the mass, right? They don't have the mass of a guardian. And so they don't have the bone mass, and their bones and joints and everything are not as strong. So you're not going to see sensors playing football, right? They're just not built for football. So they have to protect their spine. And one way to do that is to stretch often. And another is to not lift, you know, ridiculously heavy weights. They should do more light repetitive, just because their body mass is so much smaller. So they're very good with details. That's one thing we love about Bex, is she is so good with the details. Not like me. Focused, very focused. They also need time alone, more than other biotypes in general. In general, they'll need more of that. And they tend to eat smaller meals. Actually, all of them really do eat smaller meals, because they just don't have, you know, as big a stomach as a bigger biotype. They have a shorter digestive tract, so they have special needs when it comes to food, and that's why in the pH 360, when you see the food prescription for certain people, the sensors are going to have a very specific food prescription for them to eat cooked foods and things like that because of their shorter digestive tract. They're also more quiet in general. When they don't need to be talking, they're not going to be talking just for the sake of talking. And they might listen more and only say things that they feel like need to be said or that are very valuable. They're more choosy with their words. And they're medium to tall in height, so they're not generally short, although we've seen some short sensors, but they're generally more medium towards tall. Okay, and you'll get to meet Bex in a moment. She's a good example of a very healthy sensor. Oops, sorry. Okay, Crusader, last one on the pH 360 wheel of the 6 that we're going over. Their totem animal is the horse. The horse is a great choice of a totem animal for them because they do well running long distance, cycling long distance. Like a horse, they have this rhythmic distance ability, and it's actually really super healthy for them. They might be excellent marathon runners or Tour de France, you know, guys. So the horse is a great choice. They're sensitive to dopamine. And dopamine means they need to keep their dopamine in balance. So dopamine is the hormone that makes us driven, logical, and determined, you know, getting work done, focused, all of that. And they have lots of it if they're healthy. And if they get out of balance with the dopamine, then they're not going to feel well. And they might just not function as well in their brain. They also have a lot of serotonin, so they feel optimistic in general. So rhythmic exercise, long distance is really good for them, like being a long distance runner or cycler. They're driven to perform, goal-oriented, and they're big picture people. You know, they can see the details, but they're generally the people who kind of lead the crusade, and they're the boss or the CEO, and they're more of a big picture person. Very logical, which can make them, in their communication, can make them seem less personal or impersonal because they're just being so logical and not necessarily as sensitive to what someone might feel. And they're medium height, not tall and not short. They start to get shorter as they get towards the activator. Okay, so think about the crusaders you know. Have you had a crusader boss? Have you had a crusader that, you know, you've seen them in their exercise routine, how they're cyclists or runners? So just think about crusaders that you know, or if you are a crusader. One of the things about them is they need to move like the activator. They just can't sit around, you know, they're not healthy if they don't move. They need that expending of that energy. And you might be an activator, a crusader, and know exactly what that feels like. They also need a lot of fresh air. That's really critical for their health. Okay, so now what I want to have you understand from this this little webinar today and have as a takeaway is how we're all different based on our size, our gender, of course, our biotype, and our different hormones. Okay, this just gives you an example of that we all need different stimulation to feel our best. This guy in the top left here, he is a sensor. Sensor closer to diplomat, you know, he's a scientist, perfect for that biotype. And then we have Bill Gates, crusader, you know, driven, has a mission and a goal. We have an activator over here, needing, you know, doing 10 things at once, needing lots of stimulation and gets bored really easily. Down here in the bottom left are some connectors, you know, wanting to do fun things together, adventure. And then a guardian here who, I don't know if my screen shows it, but she's a politician in this case. So there are people who are good with keeping the rules, following the rules, making sure everybody's okay, you know, taking care of the clan. And then lastly, we have a diplomat over here, very family-oriented, wanting a low-stress life and sitting with their child as they look at the computer. And then socially, we have different climates. Up here in the top left, a connector, wanting to, you know, be with friends, share food, connect with people, bring people together, very connector quality. And then some diplomats on the top right, playing outdoors with their family, having fun. A crusader in the bottom right, sharing his ideas with the world. And sensors on the bottom left, wanting to be with people who understand them and let them be themselves. They don't have to try to be somebody different and fit in. Like connectors and activators are good at just fitting in wherever. And want to just be, this is who I am, let me be who I am. So that shows you that we all have a different climate that feeds our heart and our soul. So we thrive in different environments. Sensors do well in a hot, humid environment, top left. Activators do well in a dry, hot climate on the top right. Diplomats do well around water. They do really well around water, and they need it a little bit cooler, not too hot. And then we have a forest, which would be good for a guardian, something cool and not too hot. One more slide on this. We have different jobs because of our dopamine, because of our hormones and neurotransmitters. We all do different, you know, do things differently and have different skill sets. So on the top left is a sensor. They're really good with art, beauty, and making things look pretty in general. In the middle, we have a guardian diplomat who is really good at staying at a job, committed to a job, going to the same place every day, and greeting people, making people feel warm and welcome. a connector over here who's good at talking on the phone and can do many different tasks during the day, not just one, but 10 different things, and keep them all straight. And then we have a Crusader doctor in the bottom left. Good job for a Crusader doctor. Maybe doesn't have a lot of really super friendly bedside manner, but he's really good at what he does. There's the activator again, doing a couple things at once. And diplomats that can see health patterns. So they make really good health professionals. So you can see we just have different skill sets, and we're all very unique in what we offer the world, and we need everybody. So as you look at the PH360 wheel, this is at a glance now, you understand more what this means, what the connector means, and why their animal's the dog, the guardian, and why their animals are what they are, and a little bit about each one of them. A little bit about why is the activator different than the diplomat. What's really interesting, and you'll see this if you decide to take our courses, or you decide to watch any of our online courses, you'll see that what's true for one biotype, it's the opposite for a person on the opposite side of the wheel. It's so interesting that like a connector wants to be around people to feel energized, and a sensor wants to be alone to feel energized. And an activator wants to have lots of things happening and lots of stress and something to respond to, and the diplomat wants it calm and more rhythmic. And activators don't like rhythm. They want lots of diversity. So everybody's just opposite to the opposite side of the wheel. It's really interesting. So the last thing I'm going to share is just this is the last slide, is that on the right side of this wheel, the connectors, guardians, and diplomats, they are more of the extrovert body type. So they are the people who gain energy from being around people the most. They're very social. They're more preferring not to be alone. They are trusting of others. They're slow in action. Sometimes they're making decisions. They're dependent on others, or they like to be more dependent on others. And they like support of others, like coaches. Okay, and then the introvert, if I can't read this because this is in my way. Let's see. The introverted biotypes, they're more contemplative. They have more mental energy. They can definitely be alone. They're more skeptical. They're fast. They think and decide things faster. They're more independent, less social. They're motivated more by how things feel mentally and have high mental energy, where the extroverts, they're more motivated by how things feel physically. How does it feel in their body? Where the other side of the chart is how does it feel in their mind? Isn't that so interesting? I just think this is so fascinating how different we are, and we respond differently. We want things differently. Different things feel good to different people. It's just super interesting. So anyway, here's what you can benefit from our live course. Jules and I are going to go over this. So do you want me to leave this up here, Jules, while you talk about this and what they can learn from being at a live course?
Sure. Before we do that, I thought it would be fun, maybe, what if we took someone who is not, they don't know which one they are, and maybe you could ask them some questions, be someone who's on video. What do you think about doing a live demonstration?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. That's
okay.
Yeah.
So someone who's on video and who has their and who can speak. If you'd like to unmute yourself, and let's see, go ahead and unmute yourself, and first one to speak.
Hi.
Hello. Norling.
Okay, so I see Jane Norling on. Jane, do you want to go?
I'd love to.
Okay, and then we'll have one more after that. Who was the other person that was just on?
Jackie.
Oh, okay, you can be next.
Okay.
All right, so everyone mute yourself again.
Okay, Jane, you're going to go first, and you need to talk so that you'll pop up on the screen and we can see you.
I'm looking for her to put her up.
Great. Hi, Jane.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. I live in Minnesota, and I just came in we're having a little snowstorm. Stocking cap on. I didn't realize. Don't look so good.
Oh, I think you look great. You have a very cute haircut. I like it.
Thank you.
So Jane, how tall are you?
About 5'5", little less.
Okay. All right. And I would like to see, remember how we looked at all the biotypes? We saw their body, how their body shape is. I'm not asking you to take off your clothes. Don't worry about that. But if you could stand up and just kind of, so I could see your shape a little bit.
Okay. It's Minnesota winter. We've got lots of layers on. Let's try.
Okay.
Which the first thing your program told me is I should not be here in the winter.
Probably.
I know that. I'm miserable.
And Jane, I'm curious which biotrend that you felt that you were between, or which ones you were wondering about that might be you.
No idea. I resonated very strongly with one point in almost all of them. Now,
Even that's a telltale sign, right, Diana?
Yeah, there's some that will kind of relate better to all of them. Yep. Okay, so
I gained about 10 pounds in the last 2 months. As soon as the weather gets cold,
yeah.
Everything just slows down, and I have a lot of trouble staying on my eating plan because I just don't have enough energy for heat.
Yeah, right. Well, my first guess, and it's a little bit hard because I don't know you, I don't know anything about you. I'm just looking first at your body, okay? And your face. So just by your looks, I'm going to guess you're probably a connector, okay? Just by your looks. But then we can actually narrow it down by asking you a few questions. And since in the interest of time, I'll just ask you only a couple questions. So do you, let's see, because I'm trying to decide between you're somewhere between the activator, the connector towards the guardian, but I think you're a connector. What do you think, Jules, by the way? Did you make any decisions?
Yeah, she's definitely up there in that area that you're talking about.
Yeah, probably a connector. But so my question, Jane, is do you feel energized when you're around people?
I'm trying to move you so you're not looking at me against the light. Okay. When I get into a party situation, I'm a big talker. But then I want 3 or 4 days pretty much alone to recover.
Okay, so that's exactly what happens. That's more like what happens to an activator. Activators need the social time, and then they need time alone. And you're somewhere between the activator, I think, and the connector. You're somewhere right in there, and some people are right on the cusp. And then they have qualities of both. And the activators get a little bit colder than the connectors. Yeah.
Very
cold. Now, I think your picture disappeared, Jane.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Something just blocked it. If it helps my career.
Bring her out. No.
Somebody needs a mute. So what was your career, Jane?
A CPA, accountant, legal accountant. Then I left that, bought a writing company, just writing. So I went from the left brain to the right brain, or vice versa. And now I'm involved with animal rescue. So I'm kind of trying it all.
Okay, so one last question then. Because you're 5'5"?
Yes.
Okay. So do you like low stress, more rhythm, or more high stress and active?
There again, back and forth. I'll want to hibernate for a month after Christmas. All family travel in the winter to get out. We normally go to like South America or Europe. You know, high stress.
Okay.
I need variety. That's the only.
I don't know.
So you like variety?
Very much.
Okay. Well, and one last, okay, are your hips wider than your shoulders? About the same.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I knew
Oh,
it.
hey. Same, maybe.
The same. Okay. Yeah. So
I'm on an iPad and I get to move.
You know, Jane, it's a little deceiving because you're on the cusp of height. You're like in between a mesomorph and an endomorph, like where you would be in the height range. And so it's a little deceiving. But when you said that I like a little bit, like I see myself in everything, that meant something about one of the biotypes also. And something that like one of the things, Diana, when you like look at that, if you think of her just as being on the cusp, even though she's really close to mesomorph, where would you say that she would be on the other side of the wheel?
well, it's interesting because a lot of times if you measure as an activator but you measure wrong, you could be a diplomat. And so activators, even though they're opposite, if they have some similarities in their ratios. We decide from ratios. So the best way for us to know is really to measure you and do it with your pH360 profile. We're just guessing right now because with your clothes on and not being able to see you in person and not knowing some of the things that the program asks, it's harder to tell. That's why the program asks you so many details.
Right. And also, Jane, something that like a lot of times people when they're measuring, I don't know how many of you guys it's been more than 3 months since you measured last. And something about measuring is that when you do your measurements, you have to measure all of your body at the same time. You weigh yourself and measure every single measurement at one time, not like, oh, only my waist changed, or oh, only my, my wrist isn't going to change, because maybe it did just a teeny bit, and that teeny bit makes such a difference. And so measuring correctly is really important. And so anybody out there who hasn't measured in the last 3 months, there are a lot of new questions in the questionnaire. And so it would be really good to go in the last 3 months, 6 months. If you haven't done it recently, go in and do your measurements all over again. And I know a lot of you guys, I see your names, and a lot of you guys are joining us for the year-long transformation that we have coming up. That during Shade Fest, people signed up for the year-long transformation. And so we're going to be going through measurements and doing that sort of thing during that course also. And then Diana and I are going to be in Los Angeles in February, and I think that Pam Lobb is on the phone too, and she and Rebekah and maybe even me, we are going to be in Manchester in January, and we're going to be sending all those dates out to you of all the latest courses. So you'll have the link to go to where you can register for courses if you'd like to go. That's the place to learn all about everything that would be. If you really love what we've been talking about, then go to a course, because not only do you get to meet, like, seriously, some of the most incredible people that you've ever met in your whole life and get to be friends with them forever, but you also get to spend time with people around the world learning to be a coach. and it's really, really exciting. Cam McDonald, he is in Australia, and he leads our coach trainings. After the course is complete and you've learned all the basics, then he does a 12-week coach certification for you to learn all the details. And so we're going to be emailing you all of this with the replay, and you'll get a chance to see it. And if you're listening to this like far on down the road, be sure to send us a note to support@ph360.me and ask for the latest on everything. And you guys, for being part of this this webinar, you are also going to get a very, very, very special link in your email. So look for it because it's there. All right, cool. Diana, did you want to say anything else about our courses? And
Well, let me first just say one more thing to Jane, because and this applies to everybody. It's a really important point about your biotype. When we're not following our biotype, so let's say that you don't know like, I don't know I'm an activator, so I sit the same job every day talking on the phone, and I'm at a call center or something, and I'm an activator, I'm sitting all day, and I don't act like my biotype. Pretty soon I won't relate to my biotype anymore. I won't be healthy. I won't be at my best weight and health, and because I'm not doing everything that's best for my body. So as we learn about our biotype and we start to hone in on the things that are really the best for us, the place, the home, the people, the job, all the things that are really good for us, we start to relate more to our specific biotype. And Jane, as you're relating to lots of different biotypes, you might be kind of not settled in your biotype and just doing whatever you think might be okay, not realizing what's great and specific to you. So if that makes sense to everybody, you know, we get really settled in our biotype, we start to get healthier, and it feels more natural to us to be like our body intended, what's natural. And Jules is right about the courses. They're way fun, and you get to meet. I mean, we've met so many people that we get to, you know, stay in touch with and have fun ongoing with. But people connect there, and they learn so much. We just barely skim the surface today of some of the things you can learn and know. So I really recommend anybody who wants to know more to go to a live course.
all right, cool. Diana, thank you so much for being here and for sharing all of this awesome knowledge that you have. And I've heard what you share over and over, and every time I love hearing it again. And so thank you so much for being here and being part of what we're doing and contributing. The activator that you contribute is very valuable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it.
All right. So in the efforts of time right now, if anybody has any questions, you are totally welcome to send an email to jules@ph360.me, and you can ask a question about this webinar. And I'll get the answer for whatever the question is for you. So no worries. All right. And so in the efforts of time, I think we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring on Rebekah Morrison, who is going to be sharing with us all about the detoxing. And so all of you have just learned about biotrends. Great. And now Rebekah is going to be bringing on, we're introducing a whole new level of PH360, not only in this webinar, but we're also bringing it out in our retreats and some other things that she's going to tell us more about. And so Rebekah, can you unmute yourself?
I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fabulous.
But not see you.
Yeah, the only thing is I have an iPad, hello, and I have a laptop at the same time. So the audio is great with the laptop, but it's not with the iPad. So I'm on video on the iPad and I'm on audio on the laptop. So,
I totally did that. That's what happened to me. So let me see if I can, there. I think you guys can see her now, right? Shake your head if you can see Rebekah. Lovely Rebekah. It says
Probably.
Julia Lynn. It's my name on accident.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah, people are jumping up and down. Okay, great.
Shape-shifting.
Okay, super.
Cool. So hello, everybody. It is very, very cool to be here. Thank you for having me. I just want to say, first of all, because not many people know me, I've been around with PH360 since we first began, and I've worked with the researchers and the scientists and everyone behind pH360 for the whole time. And so I've been exposed to the immensity of what goes into pH360 and the knowledge that is in it. And I trust the science, I trust the researchers, I trust the people behind pH360, and I trust the intention of pH360 as well. Because that intention from all of us who are involved with us with pH360 is for each individual to be happy and healthy, to not live with pain and not live with disease when they don't need to. So I want to say that because I love the science behind pH360. I think it's really fascinating, but now that I've been involved with it for so long, it's not my passion. I don't really care about it as much. So if you ask me a question about science, I will say, you can talk to this expert, or you can go over here and find the information over here. So I'm not the science person. My passion is how to do it, how to take this information and how to actually put it into my life so that I can be as healthy and as happy as possible. So I just wanted to preface that, so just so you all know where I'm coming from. I'm the doer. I like to do things. And that's why I really like to, why I've loved over the last few years is to take that information from the researchers and from the scientists and try and put it into a format that everyone can use so that every single person can actually use it. So that's a little about me. Hello. But we're talking about detoxes. So that is a very cool new thing that we have. Not new, but the new thing that we're going to be telling you about today. So
wait, Rebekah, really quick. Some people can't see you, and in the video, in our video, it will be the black screen. And for all of you on the line, right this very moment, scroll through the people that you've got on your screen and look for my name, Julia Lynn. And when you see that, that's Rebekah. And click on that one and open it up, and you'll be able to see Rebekah talking while you can hear her. So if you'd like to see her, just scroll through the people until you find Rebekah. And except you'll see Rebekah and you'll see my name, Julia Lynn. Did you guys find it? Okay, good. People have found you. Oh, hey, there's Diana Benson. Hello, you guys. Oh my gosh, when I scroll back through, there's so many people on this call. Oh my goodness. Okay, take it away, Bex.
Awesome. All right, cool. So the first question that I want to answer really is, why do we even do a detox? So there's a couple of reasons why we do a detox. First of all, it's to give our digestive system a break because it works hard all day, every day. We have to get our fuel in, so we have to digest things. So it's working all the time. So we want to give it a little bit of a break so it can work more efficiently later. The second reason why we do a detox is to stop putting in some of the stuff that might be causing us some problems. The third reason we do a detox would be to cleanse out some of the crap, the toxic stuff that we don't actually need. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have any chemicals inside of us that are from pesticides or anything like that. We'd all be eating organic food and we'd be eating it fresh from the garden. But unfortunately, that's not the case for everyone right now. So a detox can help cleanse away all of the toxic crap that's in us as well. But the real reason, the number 4 reason, which is actually my number 1 reason for doing a detox, is actually so that your body, or so that our bodies can work more efficiently when they need to. So for a sensor, that is super important. Just to be able to work efficiently is important for me. And as we know, different biotypes will translate that into different things or different ways of seeing it, have different ways of seeing it. So a guardian might translate that way of seeing it into their body will be more efficient to metabolize the energy that they do put in. A diplomat might say that their body will be more efficient to regulate their temperature. So whether it's too cold outside or too hot outside, they'll be able to regulate a little bit better. Someone who is a connector might see the benefit of that as that they might shed those couple of extra pounds of fat that they don't want to have on their body. An activator might feel that they'll have the energy that they want all day, every day. And maybe Crusader might see the benefits as that they'll have a really clearer mind. They can be so much more efficient and get every single thing done that they want to have done during the day. So the real reason for me, or for us at pH360, to do a detox is so that your body can work the most efficiently and effectively as it possibly can, so that you can be healthy and then you can go and live life and do all the things that you really want to do. So the difference between the biotypes is actually really cool. We all know they've got different types of bodies, and a detox for each one of them is going to be a little bit different too. So what I've thought I would do would be put together a couple of tips. We've got 3 tips for each of the biotypes. So we'll go through them, and these are practical tips to do with a detox, but in particular a detox. So first of all, we're going to start with the connectors, because they're the people. We want to make sure we get them all peopled up first. I don't know, I'm a sensor, I don't work like that. So, tips for a connector to do a detox. Tip number 1, it is really, really important for you to, we're going to be talking mostly about food with this, but with a connector, it is really important for you to have people around you who are doing it with you. You're a social person. If you have to eat something, or if you have to have some sort of diet or detox that no one else is having, you're going to feel completely left out, and you're just going to be miserable about it. So get some people around you to do it with you. So whether it's friends, whether it's a support group, it might be an online support group, or people in person, it could be your family, whoever you can get around you to support you, and just do it with you. It's about all doing the same thing and all having fun together. So tip number 1 is to get some people to help you with your detox. Tip number 2 for a connector. Connectors tend to have a little bit of a problem sometimes with not absorbing enough nutrients. And so what happens in their intestines, does anyone know everyone knows what a piece of carpet looks like, right? Yeah, cool. So imagine, I'm just going to go off on a bit of a tangent. This is how one of the researchers told me how they explained it, and it's stuck in my head, so I'm going to explain it like this. Imagine you have a piece of carpet, and that is your intestinal wall. And imagine you have a cup of soup in the other hand. And when you throw the cup of soup onto that piece of carpet, you'll notice all the big chunks stay on the top, and then all the fluid or the liquid drips down through the bottom of the carpet, yeah? That liquid that drips down through the bottom of the carpet, that's how your body takes in, or it extracts all the nutrients from the soup that's gone into your intestines, okay? So the stuff that's on the top, that kind of gets brushed away through your intestines. The stuff that goes through the carpet is what is absorbed by the body, so that's all your nutritious stuff. What happens with a connector sometimes is that there's a little bit of buildup on that intestinal wall. So if you imagine someone takes a big thing of plaster and puts some plaster over the top of the carpet, okay? That's some buildup on the wall of the intestine there. So if you go to put a cup of soup onto that plaster, what's going to happen? It's not going to go anywhere, is it? It's just going to go straight out, and nothing's going to get absorbed. So no nutrients are going to go through. So what we want to have for a detox, for a connector, is something that will not stress the intestines or not stress the digestive system, but it will help to clear away all that plaster on the carpet so that the soup can go straight through. Does that make sense? Good.
Oh yeah, baby. I got it. I mean, I definitely don't want the soup in my carpet. I want that gone.
Yes, that's right. You don't want the plaster. Anyway, so the idea behind that is that what we want to do for a connector is help to flush out their digestive system. And the way that we do that is through smoothies. So the type of detox for a connector is to have a smoothie detox. That way all the fibrous things go through the body, but there's no stress on the intestines, so there's no stress on the digestive system to get things done. It goes through smoothly and it clears things out so that they can absorb all the nutrients and they can be happy and healthy, okay? So tip number 2 is the type of detox, and that is for a smoothie. For a smoothie, it's a connector. For a connector, it's a smoothie. Number 3 tip for a connector is that your detox only needs to be about 3 days long. You don't want to go into these 2-week, monthly type of things. 3 days of smoothies and away you go. Then you'll be set for the rest of it, okay? So 3 days is enough to get things moving through the intestines and clean things out so that you can go back into being healthy with your pH 360 and have an awesome life with all your friends again. But you've already had an awesome life with your friends because they're all doing it with you. So top three tips for a connector to do a detox. Number 1, get your friends to join you doing it. Number 2, do a smoothie detox with all your fruit and veggies on your pH 360 list, the top ones, of course. And number 3 is only do 3 days at a time. You don't need to do any more than that. Okay, does that sound simple enough, Jules?
That sounds pretty simple. I think I can do it.
Good. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to go straight through to the guardians. I did see a question there. Is there a better time to do a detox? Yes, there is. There is a better time for each of the biotypes to do a detox. If a connector is doing a detox, it needs to be in summer. It needs to be when it's warm. Otherwise, they're just not going to do anything, which is fine. So just know that when it's warm, if you're a connector, then it's a good time for you to do a detox. Okay? Guardians. Let's go to the guardians. Alrighty, the salt of the earth. I like these ones. For a guardian, 3 tips for a guardian for a detox. Number 1 is get some support or get some help. So it's similar to the connectors. There's some social aspect to it, but it's not the need, it's not the necessity that you have to have people around you to have fun and do it with you. It's more that with a detox, with a guardian, food and the feeling around food and the experience of food can sometimes be seen as like it's the sustenance of life. It's what everything revolves around because they're such nurturers, they're such protectors, they're such carers. And so if you take that away and you leave them with nothing, or you leave them with what they're not used to, it's like a really distressing situation. So what we want to have for the guardians is some support, and that might be in the form of a coach, it could be a doc, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a group of people online or in person. It doesn't have to be everyone having a lot of fun. It just needs to be some support, some moral support there. Okay, we know that guardians, we know they love their food, so if we're taking it away, we want to give them something else to support them. Or someone else who knows what it's like to support them instead, just to make them feel comfortable. All right, so get someone to join you. Tip number 2 for a guardian is that your body is a conserver. Naturally, it conserves energy and it conserves everything, which is why you're fantastic as, if you think a soldier that has to carry a heavy pack and go for days and days and days without food or without any comfort, that's like a perfect guardian in that role. A guardian could do that perfectly, whereas, a sensor would die after day 1 or something. But you are a conserver. So it's hard to lose weight because your body likes to keep things in, okay? Now, the reason I'm saying this is that in autumn, just before winter, your body goes into extra conservation mode, okay? Your body knows that winter is coming up and your body knows that it's going to survive through that harsh cold times, so it goes into extra conservation mode. Now, autumn, fall is what you guys call it in America. The autumn or the fall is the perfect time for a guardian to do a detox because that's the time when you are just about to conserve more. Now, when we're talking about conserving, if you think about trees going into winter, just before winter, some of them will lose their leaves, yeah? And the reason why they lose their leaves is because they're drawing all of their energy in, they're conserving all the energy that they have so that they can go through the winter and survive and come out the other end and then be happy in spring again, okay? So guardians might even feel it themselves. As they come into winter, their skin might get a little bit drier. They might feel everything conserving and everything going into their body. They might even feel a bit more hungry because they want to put food in because they want to store more for the winter. So what we want to do is we actually want to reduce the amount of energy that goes in, because if we have too much energy that goes in just before winter, then that body is not going to be able to work efficiently through those winter months. It has to work the hardest through the winter months, and if it's got excess of everything that they don't need, it's got to work harder to look after all of that. So tip number 2 was to do it just before winter. And tip number 3 is that the type of detox that you have, what is best for you, is to have warm broths and liquids. So teas, warm broths, not chunky soups, broths is what we're talking about, okay? When we go back to thinking about putting the energy in and the body storing it, if you imagine this is your body here, okay? If you put 10 lots of energy in at a normal time, your body might store maybe 3 lots of energy away for just in case in a rainy day, and then it might use 7 lots of energy during the day to get through what it needs to get through, okay? if we look at it like that, just before winter, we put 10 lots of energy in. Your body might say, oh, hang on, winter's coming up. I'm going to put 7 lots of energy away and store that and just use 3 lots of energy to get through my day. Okay? So what we're going to do, instead of having this 7 lots of energy over here all stored away, which we don't actually need so much anymore in the winters, what we're going to do is we might put 3 lots of energy in, and then the body has to use all of that 3 lots of energy to work its way through the day, and it doesn't store anything excess because it doesn't need to store anything in excess these days. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. Mm-hmm. So we're getting some nutrients, we're getting lots of liquids from our broths and from our teas, and that is going in so our body can use the stored energy that it has and whatever is going in to get through the day, but we're not putting anything excess away. The other reason we're having warm teas and broths is so that we can maintain our temperature and maintain our metabolism. Okay. So the top 3 tips for a guardian are, 1 was to get some support to help you through the detox. Number 2, you're a conserver. So doing your detox at the time of year when you are just about to start conserving a lot more will help you be really efficient through that trialsome time of year. And number 3 was the warm broths and liquids is the type of detox for you to do. Okay? Cool. I love talking about detox. It's really fun. Anyway. All right. So the next one we're going to get to is the diplomat. So 3 top tips for a diplomat. Number 1 top tip is set the time of year, or set the time, set the day, set the month, however you want to do it. Set the time for your detox in advance so you know that it's coming. Diplomats like to plan and they like to know what's coming up in the future. So if you know exactly when you're going to start and how long you're going to go for and what type of things you're going to have in your menu and how you're going to do it, then it's going to be so much easier. You're just going to glide through it. There's not going to be any stress. There's not going to be any deadlines. There's not going to be anything that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's just going to be, oh yeah, I know this is coming. Let's cruise on straight through. Okay. So set your time in advance. The type of detox for a diplomat is salads, especially green leafy vegetables. Okay. The green leafies mean that you get lots of magnesium for your gut, for the muscles in your gut to work nicely. Your gut is one of the longest ones that there is of any biotype, and it needs a little bit of TLC. So it needs to have some extra magnesium in there and make sure that it's hydrated to make sure that everything works well as it goes through that really long tracks that you have. With a diplomat, the other thing you want to consider, tip number 3, is to have your salads, have them raw, okay? Now, this is going to be completely the opposite to some other people, but you are going to have raw salads. And the reason for that is because you will chew it. So the chewing mechanism is kind of like a ruminating thing for a diplomat. It's natural. It's what they do. They might think about things. They're ponderers. They put patterns together. They love to take their time and do things. So chewing food is actually really fulfilling for them. And it helps to get the rest of their body working in alignment with what's going on as well. So don't, whatever you do, cook your greens to make them soggy or anything. If you're a diplomat, have it raw, chew it, and make sure it goes down in a really relaxed environment. Alrighty. So we have for the diplomat 3 top tips. Number 1 is to plan your detox coming up. Number 2 is to have your detox type as salads, and especially green leafy vegetables. And number 3 is to eat them raw so that you can chew them and make sure you can enjoy the whole experience of actually getting those things inside you. Alrighty. We're going to move on to the sensor. High five to all the sensors out there, just because I am one. And the connectors that want a high five too, yeah. All right, so with a sensor, the type of detox, tip number 1, the type of detox to actually go through is juicing. So we're going to have juices. And the reason why we're having juices is because it's like a power shot of nutrients and your body does not have to do anything to get the nutrients out of it. It goes in, it gets absorbed, and away we go. Okay, simple as that. Tip number 2, the really important thing for a sensor to understand is that even though you might have the willpower to go for days without food, or without like solid food, and maybe sometimes we do that anyway because we just forget to eat, but that is actually not that great for us. If you think of your body as a solar-powered car, okay? Solar-powered car, when it's sunny, it can roll along and it can go really fast and can do really heaps and heaps of different things. As soon as the sun goes away, that car is going to stop because there's nothing that's feeding it any energy. A sensor doesn't hold a lot of energy. They don't store a lot of fat or muscle. They don't store a lot of anything. It has to keep continually coming in. So normally we're the snackers. We're the people who should be having little bits and pieces all the time during the day. And so if we're having a detox, we don't want to go without food. We still want to have everything. So our perfect detox is actually to replace one meal in a day with a juice, or if we're really feeling toxic, to have one full day of juices without any food. Okay, but that's it. We don't want to go for 3 days. We don't want to go for 10 days. We don't want to go for 2 weeks. We don't want to do a month water fast or anything like that because our body is just not going to cope with it. So tip number 2 is it's either one meal or it's one day, and that's it. Good. Okay, and tip number 3 for the sensors is do it when you don't need the energy. If you have a day when you're doing like a really tough workout or you've got heaps on at work, don't do your detox then, because that's when you need your energy, okay? Your detox you want to have in a really relaxed environment so that you can chill through it, do your reading, go for a swim, have a bath, do something that you really enjoy doing, but don't have heaps of energy that needs to go out, because you won't have it, okay? We want to give our bodies the fuel it needs to do the things that we do, and if you're having a detox, you're not going to have that, all right? So for a sensor, the 3 top tips are, number 1, we're going to have a juice detox. Number 2, we're only going to do it for no sun. Oh my gosh, someone said no sun. I'm about to go to no sun. I'm really scared, but anyway. Sorry, let me just go back there. Sensors, number 1, we are doing a juice type of detox. Number 2, it's important not to do more than one meal or one day at a time. And number 3 is do it when you're not going to be stressed physically or mentally, because we use a heap of energy when we use our brains too. Alrighty, we're going to move straight on to the Crusaders. Now, Crusader, tip number 1 for a Crusader doing a detox is do not fast. Fasting is not good for a Crusader. Even though they have the most discipline out of any of the biotypes to go for a month only doing one particular thing or not eating anything or doing whatever they want, fasting is not good for a Crusader because they use so much energy physically and mentally. It's kind of like starving themselves, and we don't want to starve. Detox is not about starving. It's about making our body more efficient. So instead of fasting, a Crusader is just going to remove certain components of their diet for a short period of time, okay? So tip number 2, the best type of detox for a Crusader is to go low fat and low protein with normal to high carbs, okay? The best time for a Crusader to do that is actually going to be in winter as well. And the reason for that is because in winter when it's cold, or it's actually the coldest time of year, wherever it is, whenever it is, which is winter. But the colder the year or the colder the time of year, the more rigid a Crusader or the tissues in a Crusader's body can actually become, which means it's easier for them to be stiff, and it's easier or it's more likely for them to be prone to injury at that time. So we don't want to be injured, we don't want to be stiff, we want to make sure the body is working as effectively and efficiently as possible for the Crusader. So during winter is when we're going to do a detox. And the detox we do is low fat, low protein, normal to high carbs. And tip number 3 is how you're going to do that. You're going to do it on 2 days per week that are non-consecutive. For example, we do that detox Monday, Wednesday, 1 week, or we do it Wednesday, Friday in 1 week. Okay. So you can see already the detoxes are completely different for different types of bodies, and it's really important to use the right detox. If you don't use the right detox, it's kind of like, oh gosh, what shall I do? Well, let's just do anything. Well, let's just find out what to do and use that detox. So Crusaders, 2 days per week, non-consecutive. If a little tip for a Crusader, if a Crusader goes out and has a few drinks on the weekend, which we know Crusaders are generally not really good with that because of the toxin that goes to the brain from the drinking. But anyway, if a Crusader does choose to do that, then it's a really good idea to have the detox on the Monday, Wednesday, okay? Because that'll just help you reset for the rest of the week, for the rest of forever. So Crusaders, detoxing tips. Number 1, do not fast. Number 2, do a low-fat, low-protein, normal to high carbs in the coldest time of year. Number 3, do it 2 days a week non-consecutively, Monday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that. All right, and that'll get you through, or it'll get you through so efficiently. And last of all, we have our activators. And the activators have tip number 1. Tip number 1 for an activator is that your detox is going to be no fat and no protein. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cleanse the excess fat from your diet so that you don't have any problems with your arteries and veins. Now, Diana was talking earlier about the heart being a strong point of an activator. It's actually one of those risky areas as well. So we don't want to have any build-up in those veins and arteries. We want to have it all nice and clean. So we go no fat and no protein. Tip number 2 is the time of year to do this. This one's really interesting. I love it. During winter, an activator will tend to eat more fats and more proteins, which is good because they need that to be able to keep warm. And so at the end of winter, there is a little bit of a build-up of some excess stuff that we don't need through the bloodstream or through the veins and the arteries. So as it comes into spring, just before the weather gets a bit warmer, this is the perfect time for an activator to cleanse out and to detox, okay? The reason for that is so that we can get rid of everything that doesn't need to be in those arteries and veins, all the fat, anything that's been deposited through there, and it can work efficiently and effectively through the hotter months. The cool thing is that if you notice, does everyone know, forgive my ignorance here, I think it's Lent. So there's the days before Easter when people have no meat. If we actually look at that part of the world, the Middle East over there, we'll find that most of the people over there have a biotype that is around an activator. And so naturally for their body, that's a fabulous time of year to have no protein. So no protein, no fat around that time of year is excellent for their body. I think it's awesome how culture has adapted things that are actually healthy for them. And use them in everyday life now as well. I love it. So that's just a little interesting fact there. So tip number 2 was to do your detox just before summer, so in spring, okay? After winter, as it comes into spring. Tip number 3 is that your activator detox only needs to be 4 to 7 days, depending on who you are. And as you come out of it, you want to ease out of it. So when you're doing your no fats and proteins, that also means no good fats as well. So no avocado and no flaxseed oil, nothing like that. No fats, no proteins. And as you come out of that, you want to start to add some of the good things back in. But only 4 to 7 days, and depending on who you are as well. So tips for an activator. Number 1 is no fats and no protein is the type of detox for you. Tip number 2 is to do it in just after winter, after the cold, before the warm comes along. And tip number 3 is you're only doing it for 4 to 7 days. So that's all of the biotypes covered with 3 tips for each of them. So a very quick how-to for each biotype. If you want to know more about detoxes, like if you're watching the recording of this, please comment or leave us a comment or post some things down underneath it so that we can know how you're thinking and what you're thinking and how you're feeling about all of this, and get in touch with us. Jules and I are going to be running detoxes this year, which is going to be so fun. So if you actually are one of those people who needs a little bit of support to do a detox, then like no better place to get some support than with us. Anyway.
That's exactly right. We've got the brains and the fun all together, and Bex are actually pretty fun for someone with such a brain. So
thank you so much.
Oh no, right? Okay. So so that was awesome, Bex. And I know people are like, maybe there might be some people out there that are there any other options of ways people can join us this next year? I mean, anything you want to share with them about that?
There's going to be lots of things coming up this year. Like Jules mentioned earlier, that I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. So and Jules might even be joining me for lots of that. So we're going to be organizing meetups where we can, different things. We can just go hang out at a cool place. Or if you're a health professional, or if you have a group of people who you really want to talk to about PH360, then you can get them together and we can come along and share everything that we know about it, and how to do things. Or if you want to come along for a detox, we're going to hold detoxes and we can just do the detox together, like your own individual detox. We're not doing the same thing, but in that supportive environment. There's going to be there's Jules' transformational online group that is going to be happening, and there's going to be so many more things that we bring out this year so that you guys can get involved and engaged, because we want you to be, we want to be here for you, and we want to support you. So we just want to make sure that we can give you as much as we can. Yeah, that's about all. That's why I'm getting out from behind a computer, so that I can come and meet you all and help everyone do, and help out with the how and all the rest of it.
Exactly. Yes. And me too. I'm getting out from behind the computer. I'm going to be out in the world with you guys. I'm so excited. That's awesome. Okay. And just for fun, there's quite a few people that have been asking about knowing, they still don't know exactly what it is. And I just wanted to make an offer to everybody out there. If you guys go in and do your entire update, meaning that you take all your measurements, you weigh yourself, you might even do your height if you just guessed it or said what it was 10 years ago the first time, and you complete all the extra questions in the HRA, then I will send you your biotype. All you have to do is, once you've completed your measurements and you've updated your HRA, which is the health risk assessment, which is all the questions, then you just send me a note, Jules at ph360.me, and say, hey, what is my biotype? And I will send it to you. Okay, so there you go. We're really looking forward to seeing you guys out in the world. That is our joy. And, this whole entire year, one of the things I shared in the, hold on, I'm just going to one of the things I shared in the last video with everybody, Beck, is just that this year is all about community, and that we're going to be, it's just building community, it's connecting with people, it's, sharing the love basically, and creating happy, healthy lives that we're actually living out in the world. We're not sitting behind computers all the time, and we're not sitting at our house all the time, but we're out with others. And we're really, really excited to meet you. And you want to tell them just about, do you want to surprise them later, or do you want to tell them just a little hint about that one fun thing that's coming up in the fall? What do you think?
In the fall? Oh.
Not yet? Okay, you guys, it's coming. It's coming. In the fall, there's something really fun coming, and so you'll be watching for that too.
The fall is the October thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Get it. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So we'll tell you later. All right. Well, it was wonderful to have all of you. We love you guys. You are the reason why we're here. You know that. And this year is going to be. I've never been so excited for a year at PH360. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you live, to giving you a real Jules hug, just like Diana said. So we'd love to see you at courses, at retreats, at our events, out in the world when we're traveling. Go join the Facebook group if you're not already part of it, so that you can keep up with our travels, and also to let us know where you would, if you're somewhere you'd love to see us, let us know. We'd love to see you too. Okay? All right. So take care. We look forward to seeing you soon, and have an awesome week. Mwah! Look for the replays and the email coming.